Hey, yeah, what's up? This is Disciple Marcello Kearns Rain back up in this. So, I had this video on my mind for like a couple days, you know, maybe because of Memorial Day, but today is my birthday, so just had to throw that in there. But I feel like expressing about America being a hero or a villain. Now, we don't all agree on what defines a hero or a villain, right? Some people are considered heroes that other people consider villains. Throughout history, they did certain things and overtook governments, overtook evils, and they were not considered heroes. They were considered villains, so in other words, the enemy of the hero is always going to consider you a villain for the most part, for the bulk of the situation. I don't agree. I don't feel that this country has ever been a hero or a heroic country, and I base that off history. I mean, from the very beginning, the Native Americans were killed. African Americans were enslaved. So how are they heroes? Explain to me, based on real-time activity, where is the heroic nature of America? And when I ask questions, I wait for the answers, but they don't have them. They don't have them. So they're only heroes in their own perspective, but based on activities, they're villains. A villain would come over and kill a whole group of people that's already there, right? And enslave other people. That's villains. That is not, heroes don't enslave people. Heroes don't kill a whole race of people to have another land, to have their land. So, like I said, where is the heroic nature? Not even the acts. Where's the heroic nature based on history of America? They assassinated Martin Luther King Jr. The bottom line, it was Americans that did it. The bottom line, Malcolm X was assassinated by Americans. And the bottom line, JFK was assassinated by Americans too. So whether you're looking at the government or the community that's killing each other, killing the babies, killing their own babies, where is the heroic nature ever in real time, ever in history of America? It has never been a heroic, hero-natured country. So you've been living in a villain land basically the whole time. And you still got racist people that's here, which is another villain nature. It's a villain-like nature. It's not a hero. If you're a racist and you're out here proactively doing racist activities, you are not a hero. And this country is rooted in racism, which is another dynamic that you can point out and say, well, this is not a heroic natured country. Okay? Because here's the bottom line. You're only as great as your leader as a country, and you're only as great as the system of your country. This is the make or break of a whole nation. The leader and the system of the country. That's the make or break of the situation. That's what makes it an evil country. That's what makes it a dictatorship. So when you look at the leadership of the country, when you look at the system of the country, it's not a heroic country when you have 44 states marrying children. You're not a hero country. And that's the whole thing I want to address. Is with the age of consent under 18 in 40 states, that's not a heroic country for children. That's not a heroic country, natured country. 44 states with child marriage, that's not a heroic country. They just passed laws less than 3 years ago that allows 20 states to marry any age of children. How is that a hero? That was in the Trump administration, a year before COVID, to be exact. July 1st, 2019. So how is that a hero country that's passing these laws? You're only as great as even though you're an individual and you know who you are, you're only as great as a nation, not based on your individuality, your specific individuality. You're only as great as your leader and your system. In other words, we can't define America by some good, well-to-do, good, nice citizens. That doesn't make you a great nation or a heroic nation just because you got a couple good fellas here. You got a couple good fellas, good for you. But that does not define the nature of your country. It doesn't. And so you stuck with what you do have, which is a country that allows 44 states to marry children. You got 20 states that allows adults to marry at any minimum age. That law was just passed less than 3 years ago. So that is a relevant child law that allows adults to marry them at any age. Any age. Please tell me how that's a heroic country. This is for all you patriots and all you military men. You have to realize you have been living a lie. You are individually a good person, but the country that you fought for and served has laws that allow 44 states to marry children. That's the history, that's the nature of your country. The law, and if you think that's not a relevant law, like I said, July 1st, 2019, they passed a law that allows adults to marry any age of children. So that's what you're serving presently. If you're in the military now, if you've been in the military since the Trump administration, you are serving, and even now, even now, if you just signed up for it, you're serving a country that is allowing adults to marry any age of children, and that law was just passed July 1st, 2019. So although you may be a heroic person, you are serving a villain nature country. Say that again. Although you may be a heroic person, personally speaking, individually speaking, you still cannot make up and change the nature of your country. You still cannot redefine, although you're a hero, you cannot redefine the nature of your country just because you're a hero. And your flaw is you sit up and didn't know anything about it. And this is not all military, but a lot of military people will sit up and act like this country is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And you're so quick to defend it and you're so quick to get angry. But then when I show you this, how can you be mad? Yeah, I didn't make these laws. You should be mad that you didn't know about it. You went out here and served in the war and you didn't even know. You have the world record of all countries, not China, not Russia. You have the world record of all modern day records of having the lowest age of consent for sex in the state of Delaware in 1880 at 7 years old. Okay? That's what you got going on. So that covers all the wars, Vietnam, Korea, Iraq, all the wars that you fought, Japan, all these wars you fought. You had the whole time the lowest age of consent above all the nations. That's something else you don't know. So you had that the whole time. So you had this villain nature from the beginning of the conception of this country, and it never changed. You never became a hero. And so for the Vietnam War and all these wars, the age of consent, this is what you need to know. It's never been 18 in all 50 states. It's never been 18 in all 50 states. It never has been. So while you were serving and feeling you were a patriot, these are your own personal feelings. You were feeling you were serving this great, great country, and you were not serving a great, great country. We have to accept the nature, the character of this country, whether we love it or not. Whether you love this country or not, you have to accept who America really is. You have to accept it. If you're sound of mind and you're not crazy, where you ignore stuff like this, that makes you unsound to me. You're not a sound person ignoring what I'm saying. You're unsound. You're unhealthy mentally. You have to suppress the truth in order for you to survive. You have to suppress the truth in order for you to make it. I don't have to suppress the truth. I can take the truth right on, and I'm healthy in my mind. I'm not having a heart attack. I'm not depressed. I'm not suicidal. So this is what separates the men from the boys. Are you going to accept the real reality or act like an unsound person, like la 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 la, I don't hear it, like you're crazy, or like a little kid, la 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 la, I don't hear it. You have to make a decision today to say, okay, the America that I thought we were, that was not real. And I base that on the actual laws that you have passed, not anything else. Well, the assassinations, the what you did to the Native Americans, and look, all these patriots, it's convenient for them to forgive themselves. It's convenient for them to tell you to forget about that. It's convenient because they're trying to maintain this false image of America being so good and great. The only thing you have going here is greedy people on top of slaves. That's what you got going. Everybody's not living good. Everybody's not living great. America picks and chooses who it wants to help. All their citizens are not living good. And you're only as good as your worst citizens. You're only as good as the person that is in with the less money. So you can't act like you're so great when you got homeless people all over the country. When you got American veterans homeless all over the country. You got veterans that are homeless after they served this country. That's another thing. I don't know if I made a video. I may have made a video on it, but you have to really ask yourself, how great is this country and sophisticated? This is the better word in this situation. How sophisticated is this country by system, right? When they can go over, these military guys can go over and serve, or women can go over and serve and wind up homeless on the streets. How sophisticated is the system really? How sophisticated is it? It comes back to what I'm saying. When you see your military on the streets, that means greedy people are on top of slaves. When your military winds up on the streets, it should be impossible for that to happen. Which means whether they get drunk, they're druggies, they're addicts, no matter what their situation is, they should be guaranteed a place to stay. So let's say they lose the place. Let's say they get drunk, drugging, or they go stay with someone else. But let's just say first, they get druggy, they get drunk, they get kicked out of a place. They should be allowed to go somewhere else. They should be allowed to get another residence. It should never stop. I don't care how problematic the person is. I don't care how druggy the person is. I don't care how disabled the person is. Mentally, morally speaking, they should be able to have a place to stay forever. You should not have men that served your country or women that served your country out here begging in the hot sun. Okay? So that's for military. You need to look at that. You're defending it, but your people that served in the military is out on the streets homeless while you're defending America. And you could say, well, they get benefits and this and that. Then why am I seeing homeless people that are veterans out there? Because they gave up on them. That's what happened. And they shouldn't in any place in time be given up on to the point where they're homeless. Yeah. You got all this money, but you can't manage to keep the military off the streets. You got $1 trillion. You see how they throw these monies around? $1 trillion package here, $1 trillion, $1 million package here, hundreds of $1 million packages to do this and do that. But they ain't got no package to keep militaries off the street. They ain't got no package to keep homeless military off the street. They should have that. It should be no homeless veterans. You don't see no homeless police. You don't see no homeless firemen. When the last time you seen a homeless fireman? There used to be a fireman, right? It ain't gonna happen. There's too many benefits. When the last time you seen a homeless cop that said, I used to be a cop, but I'm now homeless? It's not gonna happen. It's not. They're gonna have some kind of benefits, some kind of way to get them good. You know, but military out on the streets homeless. You got plenty of people say, yeah, I was in the military, but I'm homeless. But you don't hear cops say, I was a cop, but I'm homeless. You don't hear nobody say, I was a fireman, but I'm homeless now. They don't uphold their people like you think they do. Look around. Just take a look around. And stop looking at it from a biased eye. Stop looking at it from a biased perspective. Don't look at it from a biased perspective. Don't look at it from how much you love it and like it or whatever with the culture or whatever got you feeling this way about America. Take all of that off and be unbiased and look at the fact that they have the lowest age of consent, the world record for the lowest age of consent. That's the ancient history. The middle ground history of all this other time and through all these other decades, if you will. The other law is the fact that it's never been under the age. The 50 states have never had the age of consent at 18 in all 50 states. It's never been like that. So that's for 60s, the 70s, the 80s, all this in between time from the ancient time with them having the lowest record of above all nations. After that record of having the lowest age of consent for sex in all world records, after that time, then the middle ground in between that time and now, they never had the age of consent at 18 in all 50 states. They never had it that way. So there's never been a time where this country has been honorable towards children. I'm going to say that again. There has never been a place in time where this country has been honorable towards children. Ain't no place. Okay, because to me, I'm not going to play any games about what I feel. If you never had the age of consent at 18 as an adult in all 50 states, you've never been honorable towards children. You've never been honorable towards children. It's not something hard to do. It's not labor. It's a perspective. You don't have to go and work for it to be 18 in all 50 states. You don't have to go and labor and slave so that we can have this progress. It's a perspective that you don't have as a country. You don't have that perspective. Therefore, it's an educated assumption that you're not totally, therefore, not honorable towards children. So it comes back to what I was telling people, the military guys. You're honorable. You are heroic, maybe. But you can't change what the country's nature is. If they're doing these things with children by law, you are an American that is honorable and heroic. But your country is not. And I proved that by law, not my perspective, not my feelings, not because of what they're doing to me. This is their nature on their own. I didn't make them do this. This is not a result of us going to war with each other. You are already dishonorable towards children from the very beginning. What that got to do with me? And what it means to me for a whole nation to come and go without us knowing this is it shows us how uneducated we really are. At the end of the day, and I'm gonna do a video about this alone, because for us to not know this shows us how uneducated we are, how ignorant we are as a nation. A whole culture comes and goes. It's almost the end of the world. Come and go. A whole country doesn't even know its own laws, and laws that most people could know without being a lawyer. You don't have to be a lawyer to know these laws. You don't have to be in politics to know these laws. You don't have to get a million books to find out these laws. So it's without excuse. It's without excuse. As fully grown men, I'm 41 today. And by 41, I'm educated on my country. I'm educated on my country at 41, while everyone else is ignorant forever. So I grew up and I educated myself. So it makes me wonder how these college educated people that just throw around the degrees they got can actually esteem themselves as competent when you went to school and you come out, you came and went to school and come out and you still ignorant of your laws that's in your country. You're still ignorant of the nature of your country. I don't see how you can feel competent. That means to me, we are one of the most uneducated countries of all time. People just go to high school, come out, and work a job. So what does that mean? That means we have nothing but people that are used or utilized as slaves, and it never stopped. They don't care about educating you on this. No one did. So all you're doing is working, which makes you a slave. You're working for the system. Meanwhile, they're telling you a good person by doing this. You're a competent person by doing this. That's a better word to use. You're competent when you're out here working. But how come you don't know your laws? And how can you claim to be competent when you're not educated on simple laws about children? How can you claim to be a competent people? I don't care how much you work. I personally don't. Because you come and go from school to job, and you've come all this way through all your history of your country, and you're totally uneducated on laws that have been here for the very beginning of this country. 1880 is where I started. 1880. That's why I started with these laws. That's where these laws started. Well, this is where I start with these laws. There's probably other laws before 1880. But these laws have gone back this far up until now, where they passed the last law less than 3 years ago. So it's covered all your history. So how can you label yourself as competent and look down on somebody else when you're uneducated on simple laws about children? You should be compelled to find out what the laws are, right? If you care about the children like you say you do as a country, then you should have been compelled to find these laws out and what the laws are concerning children. You should have been compelled to find it out. But you did not, as a culture and as a people. So I don't care how much you work or you think you're a better person than me because you're working. It doesn't change your incompetence. Yeah. And so with that being said, I shouldn't want for nothing in this country. I'm more educated than most people here. I'm more educated on this country. Let's put it like that. Than the average person that's in America. I'm way more educated on their country than they are. Because I look, and I would say I'm more educated on this country's history more than the military. Let's put it like this. I have the vital education that a lot of people don't have based on these laws that military, police, and all these other people don't have. Because if you knew it, how could you bring yourself to serve a country that do that? That makes you a villain. It comes full back circle. It makes you a villain when you can sit up and serve and support a country that has 44 states marrying children. You're no longer a hero. Once you know this, and you still continue to support and serve this country, you're not waiting for it to change. What you're doing is supporting a villain-natured country. And you can lie to yourself and say, well, I'm waiting for it to change or it will change. It's not going to change. And it's been too long in this direction. It has been this way since 1880. In the middle time between 1880 and now, the age of consent was never 18 in all 50 states. So how are you waiting for something to change that never was a certain way? How are you waiting for something to change that's been this way so long? Let's put it like this. How are you going to expect a villain-natured country that's been this way all the time to now become a hero? Out of nowhere. It's just going to be a hero. That's you being simple once again. That's you being very simple once again. Okay? I'm telling you how it is, as opposed to what you thought it was. Now, if you're sound of mind, you have no choice but to update your mind on the real nature of your country, the real laws of your country. If you think you're sound of mind, now you can be sound of mind and crazy to those who use logic. Okay? But if you want to come on our side of being logical, a realist, and sound and healthy of mind, you have no choice but to update your mind on the real nature of this country that is based on laws. You have no choice but what you gonna do? Ignore it? Then that makes you unsound. That makes you incompetent too, because you're not able to handle the truth. So therefore, you're not able to handle the pressure of what this is. That makes you weak and frail of mind. You're frail mentally. You can't handle the truth. That makes you, that's just like somebody that could never work. That makes them disabled. For whatever reason, that makes them disabled, right? So that's a form of being disabled when you can't handle certain pressures that is in life, which is, in this one specifically, is accepting the realities of something. If you're not able to accept the realities of certain things, then you're a person that doesn't have survival skills, critical thinking skills. You don't have that. Therefore, to me, that's kind of disabled. No, it's not picking at it. I'm not mocking it or laughing at it, but that's a form of being disabled when you cannot handle real realities of life. If you can't handle it, then you're not as strong mentally as you say you are. You're not. This is not breaking me. I'm not depressed about it. Hey, I had nothing to do with it. And you shouldn't be depressed if you had nothing to do with it. If you ain't have nothing to do with it, why are you depressed? You didn't do it, did you? Okay, then. You have to separate yourself from the craziness of this country. Okay? You can't be acting like, well, just like they did back in the day. Well, me's and master sick. Back in the times of slavery. Well, me and master sick. No, master is sick. I'm not sick. His pain is because of what he's done. I don't share in his pain. When he got 44 states marrying children, when you got an ancient record in 1880 with the world record history of the lowest age of consent, and you never had the age of consent at 18 in all 50 states, I'm not sharing in your pain. I'm not sharing in your pain when you just passed a law before COVID in the Trump administration, which Trump had to see it as being, because he's president, with 20 states allowing the age of consent to be to marry any age of children in 20 states. I don't share in your pain. I don't share in your suffering, because in my logic, you brought it on yourself. If you don't think laws will make your land cursed, and this is another video I got to do. If you don't think laws curse a country, you have no perspective of this realm of earth that you're in. You don't have the foundational understanding of life and how you go about as a country, as a system. If you make laws that are crazy, you're cursed. I'm just saying it like that. And you can go look at all the laws and you can see what it is, and you can see it for yourself. I ain't gotta individualize all the laws. Go look at these laws and understand that if they're crazy, this country is cursed. Bottom line. And you can't say you're no hero, and you can't say you're a hero-natured country passing crazy laws with children.